Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Sweet Talks podcast. My name is Chantal.
And I'm Nikima.
And I'm Rihanna.
Yeah, so welcome back to the Sweet Talks podcast. Last week we purposefully went dark, and that was for the purposes of having a blackout media week in support of the Black Lives Matter campaign. This week we're going to actually be talking about the Black Lives Matter campaign and how it has affected us, maybe personally, but also how it can affect, have an emotional, psychological, social effect on the Black community within the various different countries. I don't know if anyone wants to kind of kick off about any kind of campaigns that they've been part of or things that they're doing in order to add to the Black Lives Matter movement.
I'd like to kick off if you don't mind. So I went on a protest in Birmingham, England, in a little place called Handsworth, or a place called Handsworth, where they decided to have some protests, a peaceful one down there. And that's the first one I went on, and it was quite profound because, I don't know, I feel like there's a different energy with it this time compared to other times that I've been on. Can't exactly put my finger on what it is exactly. I don't know whether lockdown has got a thing to do with it, or whether the cosmos and the alignments and what type of, I don't know, moon, I don't know. But there's something different on it with it this week. I felt quite heavy as well this week because there was a lot of information about brutality, and not only was it with our brother George that was killed a week on Wednesday last week, there was others that were happening in Britain as well as in the US. And I think, I don't know if I said this to a friend today, that it's not just happening in Britain and the US, it's happening in Germany, Italy. There's so many different European countries that have our Black brothers and sisters that are still struggling. I can't imagine what the Black people that are going through right now in China and what's not being filmed. I think Will Smith said it this week, that was quite important. It's not that it's getting worse, it's just that it's getting filmed. And I've heard that a few times around on social media, and it's absolutely right. So yeah, and also I went on one in Birmingham City Centre, I believe it was Friday. And that was quite profound. I thought there was about 400 people, but I read in the newspaper there was about 4,000 people.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
Yeah. My my calculations wasn't that good, but that was quite powerful as well. There was an energy with that came from that protest as well, which was quite motivating, and it was very peaceful. And it makes me want to do even more, because I've done a few things in the background, actual doing things, not just saying things. It's just actually doing the work in the background. So that's been really uplifting. That's helped me because it's been quite heavy this week.
Yeah. Cool.
Yeah.
Cool. Thank you for sharing. Rhea, you got any?
I also went to the protest on Thursday in Birmingham, which was the same one that Nikima went to.
Yeah.
I didn't realise it was 4,000 people. I thought it was a couple of thousand, but I didn't realise it was 4,000 people. And that's probably just a ballpark figure. Probably was more than that, because as we were going from like different spots, different locations in town, I was like, bloody hell's more and more people like that. Like you already can see so many people. You don't expect to see more people. And then, for example, we were standing near one of the unis, and in front of me, I could see all these people on the dual, like literally standing on the dual carriageway, so the cars and that couldn't move. And then all of a sudden I hear like drums, and behind me there was it looked like another 2,000 people came from behind me, and it just kept coming. Like every 10 minutes or so, another lot of people would just come through, and another lot, and another lot, and another lot. I remember we walked down to, so I was a bit late, so I caught them when they were walking back down Colmore Road. So I caught them just by Pigeon Park, and I walked down to the police headquarters, and there it was so nice. I mean, I've been to a few protests, but I haven't really stayed that long because I've always felt a bit uncomfortable. But this time, I still felt uncomfortable, but I felt eventually throughout the time I felt better. But to kind of see, it was standing outside the headquarters, and we were sitting down, and we were standing up, and we were cheering, and we were shouting, and all these things, and the buses either side, like when I say buses on buses on buses, couldn't move, cars couldn't move. Do you know what I mean? I mean, you have some silly people in terms of drivers that try to kind of force their way through a little bit. So you had some car drivers that were a bit, not car drivers, but I think it was motorcyclists trying to kind of push their way through. Don't quote me, but because there was a lot of people, like you're seeing it, but you're not really seeing it because of so many people. But it was nice. It was nice to see like different groups of people, different groups of Black people. Yeah, do you know what I mean? Like it was a nice sense. You could see it like a group of Somali people that were talking about that young lady. Is it Shakri? Don't quote me. I can't remember her name, but that young lady that her school friends. She was I can't really say they were friends. They bullied her, but I don't know the full story, but I think from what I heard, she was manipulated or influenced to go to, I think, down by the river park or wherever they were, and I think they beat her up, and then I think she drowned or something like that. Don't quote me. I'm sure you can Google the story. But basically, no justice because they didn't do anything about it. And prior to that, her mum was making loads of calls and stuff to the school, and the school basically just didn't care. Or at least as far as I know, from what's out there, the school hasn't or didn't, support her mum. But yeah, saying all that to say, like, it was really nice. But my reason of going there, one, because I wanted to support Black Lives Matter as a Black woman, who's around a lot of males, and females, and just Black people in general. And also, I wanted to have that feeling. I wanted to feel that warmth and that togetherness and that passion. And I noticed that I felt it once we started walking. When we were standstill, I didn't really feel it. It was nice, don't get me wrong, it was really nice. But when you're walking together, there's something about walking together and chanting and kind of walking through the streets and kind of declaring, like, do you know what I mean? Like, there was something about that. It was really, 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 really nice. So I know there's a few going around. I know there was another one in Wolverhampton. I know there's another one that was in Lichfield or is coming to Lichfield. I know that Birmingham are planning another one if they haven't already. So it's really good, and it's nice to see other countries, kind of like what Nkema said. Kind of New Zealand was doing it, Germany, as you said, France definitely. Gosh, who else did I say? I saw loads of countries.
I saw quite a few in America, like Los Angeles. I saw New York. I saw Minneapolis. Many different ones. So and it's interesting you saying that as well about that collectivism, and when you started to walk and the spirit of kind of collectivism, born to I am because you are. I am my sister's keeper. I am my brother's keeper. That is because a lot of people are saying to me, protesting, it ain't gonna do nothing. It ain't gonna do nothing. But to a degree, it won't. But it will raise awareness for some, and it will help some causes, but it isn't just about protesting. Like, we're doing more than that, speaking about it on the platforms that we have, and having groups. And there is something that I'm working on in the background that I kind of want, like, healing circles to occur for either men and women, or just men or just women. Like, we need the sister circles, these brothers group, and these healing circles for us.
And it's nice to see all these other people protesting in America, things like that, but to me it warmed my heart when I see other countries doing it, when I saw Switzerland doing it, and countries that you don't necessarily hear about, or their voices aren't necessarily loud, or the media might not, whatever the case is. When I saw New Zealand, and I saw Switzerland, and I saw France, and I saw Germany, and I saw, do you know what I mean? All these other countries, I was like, yes, yeah.
I agree.
It's obviously gotten to the point where, like you were talking about, you don't know what's happening this time that's got people to respond like this. But I think it's probably a combination of everything that you said, but also people are just tired. Like, quite frankly, I'm just sick of it. Like, I'm just sick and tired for the 25 years that I've been on this earth, and all our grandparents and so on and so forth.
Speak.
And we're in 2020, and there's no difference. Like, there's no change. And when I look at my god baby, and I just think, God, like, when you get to my age, like, is it still going to be the same way? Do you know what I mean? Like, and it probably will, but that's the sad part of it. So I think right now people are just sick and tired, and I think Ahmaud Arbery, Breonna Taylor, and then I think George Floyd, I think that was just the cream of the crop. I think people were just like, you know what, that is it, done. Because it's like, how can you list 3 people in the space of 2 weeks? Or whatever, it was a very short period.
That have been filmed?
Yeah, that have been filmed. That's the key word though, and it's the ones that have actually been filmed. Suppose the ones that haven't been filmed haven't been recorded.
Yeah, exactly. People dying actually at protests from police brutality and things like that. And I'm so grateful that when we went to protest in Birmingham on Thursday, that there were no arrests, there was no fights, there was no nothing. And I want people to know that Black people can get together and work well together, and not be an issue.
Shouldn't be a surprise.
Unfortunately, it's put out there
because of stereotypes.
100%.
And the demonization of the Black community that constantly happens. Black people can't come together. And I hear it from many of us Black people. Even the other day, I was having a conversation to someone who's African who says, you know, Black people, this is the problem, boom, boom, boom. And I say, no, this is the problem. We're still saying this about us as people. Those protests show differently. Certain events show differently. And it doesn't have to be just celebratory events. There could be educational or academic events. Black people come together. There's an association of Black psychologists called ABSI, you know, and they've been running for 45 years, I think, or 46 years this year. And they've been doing it for many, many years. That's just one of many of the different types of organizations that are Black run and do very well. However, unfortunately, due to funding or economics or whatever, capitalism, whatever it is, that they can't necessarily get out there to the mainstream, you know?
And it's funny that you said that, because on Thursday, when one of the ladies was talking, one of the people that one of the protesters, but like, I guess one of the organizers, I don't know, she was talking and she was like, just look amongst you. I mean, we know this already, but to hear it out loud and to see that other people are taking it in. But she was like, listen, we've got doctors amongst us, we've got lawyers, we've got psychologists, we've got therapists, we've got social workers, we've got nurses, we've got all these professionals, you know, we've got creative people amongst us, and yet we still feel, or we're still made to feel like we can't be, or we have a glass ceiling, or, you know, the only way for you to be professional or validated is for you to go outside your race and seek those professionals in a different race. Do you know what I mean? And so I think a lot of it is about us giving back to ourselves and buying into our own communities. Not to say we weren't doing that, because I know that us three especially, we do that a lot. I know I buy a lot of Black-owned products, Black-owned whatever. And I know you guys do too. But I think as a collective, we need to go, literally, like how we did the blackout, how a lot of beauty communities and things like that, like, literally stop buying anything. We need to kind of go back to that, or we need to just put that money back into our own community.
Fully agree with that. On top of that, we need to hold these organizations to account, like Black Lives Matter.
Sure.
Let me just call because
because we need to
some of these organizations. Sorry.
So we need to at least make sure that they're doing what they say that they're supposed to be doing. We need
hold them to account, because I'm very suspicious of Black Lives Matter organization, you know.
Okay.
I'm very suspicious of it. I'm very, very suspicious of it. There's something in my spirit, and I don't know what the ancestors or the deities or the creators trying to tell me, but I'm saying we need to hold them to account, watch them closely, and find out what it is that they're doing after next week or after this week. You know what I mean? Come Monday, what is Black Lives Matter organization doing online for us? When we say blackout, in a way, it's great because we can control the black pound and dollar. Mm-hmm. In another sense, fair enough, you're saying blackout. I'm talking to the Black Lives Matter organization now. I'm appealing to those, yeah? So fair enough, you're saying blackout, yeah? Let's put something in place where we've got a day. I heard the 7th of July going around. I want other days. I don't want just one day in one year. I don't want 1 month. We need a blackout for at least 3 days in the week. That's what we need, at least, because we need to transition from fully 7 days, 24/7. And actually, because of the amount of black organizations that are out there, to the point where I've seen this American black-owned organization do soaps and the washing powder and stuff. Like, there's nothing, even mobile phones and watches.
Yeah,
these black organizations are making. So it's easier to a degree in the US, but there are still things that we can tap into in the UK. Mm-hmm. So I'm appealing to all of the black pound, black dollars. We need to literally put our money where our mouth is, put it into the organizations. And we always cuss about organizations not having great customer service. And I know what it's like at these shops when we go to get certain foods and they're rude and whatnot. Yeah, but if Tesco lady is rude to me, guess what? Sorry. Or Walmart or whatever it is rude to me, I'm still going back there. We don't actually talk about that. You know what I mean? So I just want us to be a bit more mindful, even if they've got rudeness. Maybe we can benevolently educate them not to be so rude. You know, whatever it is, just, I don't know. Just try with our community. Because we've got it in us. We have the power to set ourselves free. Do you know what I mean? We need to study a little bit more, listen a little bit more, do YouTube, you know, those sorts of things. Read the law, study the law, especially UK law and US law. Yeah. Find out our rights and what we're entitled to. Stop and search rights on what we're entitled. You know, we need to do that little education for ourselves. Financial freedom, we need to look and
try to exacerbate as much as possible. It's true. I think that's very
passionate.
No, we have to. I think we do have to take control a lot more so of our financial gains and the amount of money that we spend. So I know that they estimate that the black community spends billions per year, and like
I heard trillions at one point.
I'm not sure. The figure that I read was in the hundreds of billions. I don't know if it reached trillions yet. I'm not sure.
Imagine that, billions.
But I think we are, in terms of the black community, we spend outside of our own selves at a much quicker rate than anybody else, than any other ethnicity, for whatever reason.
Sorry.
Okay, so for whatever reason. So I think something like £1 within the Asian community circulates, I want to say 4 times, it might be 5, before it kind of leaves the community. For I think Jewish people, I think they said it circulates 10 times.
Something like that, yeah.
Before it leaves their community, but for us it circulates once, and then it's gone. So I think.
For those that are listening, explain what you mean by circulate.
So I mean, like, stays within like a black-owned organization. So say for instance, if I have £1 now, I might give it to Nikki in terms of how it runs, as in terms of how the statistics have been said to be. If I have £1, I'll give it to Nakima, but Nakima will give it to Tesco or whatever mainstream supermarket it is, which is usually,
instead of buy soaps from a black organization, that black organization spend it with another supplier who's black, and that's when it stays in the community. Whereas if you think of, for instance, in the UK and say Pakistani community, they're probably working in a shop that was owned by them, that they then spend in a cash and carry that's owned by Pakistanis. Then Do you know what I mean? So it stays in that community a lot longer than compared to the Black community.
I'm not sure about like breaking it down outside of Asian stuff. So I don't know if what you're saying is like that. So I don't know if they're like when they came up with these statistics, they didn't subcategorize. So I don't know if it's like maybe it could be that someone who's Indian buys from someone who's Pakistani who buys from someone who's Chinese. Like
I get you.
To verify it as well exactly. Where
like nationality to as opposed to race. Yeah, I get you.
So it's more so about the like ethnic makeup.
The other day I was on Twitter and I saw a thread of Black-owned businesses, but like that was inclusive of like domestic stuff. So like when you spoke about like washing powder, washing liquid, bio and things like that. And it was so amazing to see all the things. I really did not know there were so many Black-owned companies out there that are making washing up powder and things like that. Yeah. But again, the frustration is because it's American. So I wonder if there's any people out here, and if there are, for those that are listening, watching, if you can like either tag us on Instagram or something, or comment below, like of Black-owned businesses in anything, any industry, beauty, lifestyle, domestic, whatever, just so we can start once again, like we've just spoke about, circulating our money back into our community, because you know, like other cultures, they do a great thing and they do that, or some of them do that, and they'll build their community up and all this great stuff, which is amazing. But unfortunately, not through just our fault. Some of it is just how it's been, and what we've been exposed to or taken away from. But some of it is our responsibility as well.
And that's why you're using this platform, isn't it?
Yeah.
There is a Black directory going around, so I'll send it to Shan, so you can put it in the thingy when you upload it.
Yeah, I will do. But I know that there is definitely like you said, there is something that is being compiled, I think, for the UK. And it's really weird. So the other day, it's so mad. The other day, I was cleaning out after I'd finished all my assignments, whatever, cleaning out. And then I found like this book that I wrote when I was about 16. And in this book, I had that I wanted to have a black company consortium. And basically in there, it would like be able to connect with all these different people. And I looked at it and I was like,
wow.
Something like that needs to be done. I don't care if I do it or somebody else does it, but
that's deep. That's manifestation. That is.
It is, and I'm thinking like this is like 14 years later, and I'm looking back at it, and it's something that is now coming to fruition through me, not through me. I don't care, but as long as it gets done. But it seems like it's something that has been needed for a long time, because there must have been a reason why my 16-year-old mind, I was like, that needs to happen.
It's your God work.
That said that needs to happen, and thank God that 2020 has now been the catalyst for it.
Yeah, definitely do it. Whether you do it or somebody else do it, like you said, has to get done. And I think it's definitely a stepping stone in the right direction for us.
Yeah, for real. I think it will be, and I think also to try and help change the narrative as to who and what Black people are, or how they are. Like the other day, I was watching an old Oprah episode, and she was talking to some racist people about like what their views were about Black people moving into their neighborhoods and stuff. And I remember like their descriptions of Black people were so alien to me. I was like, I don't recognize these Black people. I don't know where you guys have.
The Tell-A-Lie vision. Nah, joke.
No, honestly, it could be from television, because we know that a lot of the characters that were, because I think for a while there's a big campaign as to why there were so many negative depictions of Black people. So if you saw a Black person on your TV screen, they were a thief, they were a drug dealer, they were out to get you something, whatever the case may be. There was always a negative depiction of them. But I do think that also influences, obviously, if you're exposed to a stimulus for a long time, it will start to conjure connotations in your mind. So if I said right now, okay, I want you to picture someone it's the middle of the night. I want you to picture someone. They're coming after your wallet. It's dark at night, and you know they are tall and they're quite wide. What color are they? You've got a picture in your head of what that person looks like. Unfortunately, so I think it's just
the indoctrination's changing that narrative.
Yeah, and that has to be done. Is that narrative has to be changed at some point, and hopefully this is the point. Because even with the people that were protesting, I would say Australia, I would say, was one of the countries I was the most proud of.
Sorry, Australia protested. I didn't see that at all.
Yeah, Australia protested, and they were threatened with being put in prison, and this is what made me even more proud of them, because they were said that they were being threatened with being put in prison. It was illegal for them all to go, and a couple thousand turned up. Can't lock us all up, basically, I think is what they were basically thinking.
Yes.
But they were there in their droves.
Yes.
It was great to watch. It was really great to watch.
Madness.
That's good. That's excellent.
What do you guys think maybe is the effects that maybe emotionally or psychologically on, I guess, the Black community throughout this period, but others as well? I guess a lot of people are having possibly collective issues or issues with having to deal with certain things around this time frame.
I think it's just difficult. I think it just, like, I know for me, when I think about like my male family members or my partner, I just get a bit, unfortunately, I get a bit worried when they leave or whatever the case is, because they're Black, basically, and police brutality. And this week I put in my I think in my story on but saying on Netflix, not Netflix, on Instagram, and I put like to my mixed race brother and sisters, just know that once you leave your home and you go outside, i.e. into the world, everybody still sees you as Black. So don't feel like it's not part of your responsibility as well. Like, even though internally they'd be like, oh yeah, I'm mixed race, I'm half, okay, that's nice, but the world sees you as a Black person, and if anything, if the world was divided again like it once was, and a racist dictator came out or whatever the case is, you would be with us. Do you know what I mean? So that's how I think about it, and I also said that to my non-white brothers and sisters who are cool with me or whatever, that this is your responsibility as much as it is mine to say something about the injustices, especially if you and I are cool and we chill and whatever.
Non-Black brothers.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, non-Black brothers and sisters. Especially if we're cool and stuff like that, because I just don't feel like it's right for you to say or believe that you are not part of the issue or you're non-racist or whatever the case is, and now when this is the opportunity for you to say something, you don't. So I did say that, if we're cool and I don't see any sort of effort, whether that's signing a petition, whether that's coming out on the marches, whether that's declaring to whoever, then I think it's best that we just go our separate ways, because this is a constant reminder and injustice throughout my life, throughout potentially my children's life, my parents, my grandparents, and so on. So it is difficult, because, like I said, it does makes you worry when you go out, and not to say that this hasn't been all our lives, because all the time we go into shops and we get followed, and we know we're getting followed all the time. So we have this regularly, like this has always been the way. But I think, kind of what I was saying before, now that people, not now, but people have risen up now to the point that they're just over it, and now they're willing to go to the lengths to show how much they're over it, hence why people are rioting and things like that. Not to say that we agree with any of those things, however, I can understand why people are taking it into their hands now, because the people that are supposed to protect life, i.e. police or whoever, are the ones that
doing that.
Are the ones that are hurting us. And that's a real issue. It's a real issue, and it's so like not funny. But when I was looking at a lot of social media, I was thinking about do I know any black police officers, and I do, and so my heart goes out to them because
they're torn.
Well, for the ones that are torn, the ones that before anything else, you're a black man or you're a black woman, but you also work in a system where you are blue. You're a police officer.
Yeah.
So it really is difficult. And emotionally, it just makes you feel drained. It just makes you feel worthless. Like you don't deserve to live how everybody else lives. You don't deserve certain things, or just because your complexion is darker than others. Do you know what I mean? And it's you naturally become frustrated and naturally become angry, because if you want to take it right back with the beginning, and so now to be from being the beginning to now being less than, it really is difficult, and it's hard because, like, I was listening to One Radio, what is called One Extra, or whatever they were talking about, and they were talking about how.
Ice. Go on, sorry.
Sorry, what?
Was it DJ Spoony?
Not Spoony.
No, it was Shawnee B and
That's
DJ
it.
A. And and then one of the guys was talking about how he has to small up himself.
Oh
if
yeah,
I heard this. And things like that. And I was like, oh my gosh, yes. And I noticed that I would go out my way to be like, oh hello, good morning, and just to look or appear non-threatening, and that's the problem.
Yeah. You know, the internalization of that, like the effect of that, like it's affirming the that we're less than. Or not, you know what I mean? Like, I know what you mean. Like,
affirming stereotypes that we are supposed to be aggressive, that we are supposed to be.
We have to adjust and
for them, for their comfort.
You know how hard it is just
for their comfort, yeah. And sometimes, like the guy was saying, that sometimes he'll, like DJ Ace was saying that sometimes he's crossed the road and things like that. And I said, yeah, and. I don't think any black person has not been through that or has not done that.
And it's a shame that we have to.
Rightly or wrongly, do you know what I mean? But we have.
Yeah, I know that there has been
wrongly.
It is wrongly because there's times when I know that I've seen people get frustrated in places. I'm gonna say places, and they've had to. I've seen how one group of people, maybe if they're frustrated or angry, they get to do whatever they feel to do. But I know that if I was to react the same way or to
show any type of
anything. Like, I know that in specific situations, I've literally had to, because I'm frustrated, say nothing, get up. I know that if I actually speak my mind and say, actually, what you're doing is incorrect or what you're doing is wrong, then in a frustrated manner, then I'm going to be perceived as an angry black woman, and it's unfortunate, or I'm going to be perceived as I'm going to hurt, and I really wouldn't, like, because like anybody could probably say, I could have killed them that day, and that would mean absolutely nothing other than they made me angry. If I say it, or if someone of my color says it, unfortunately it's actually misinterpreted as a threat, and it has been misinterpreted as a threat. I'm not gonna lie, I was like, made me so frustrated, I could have done whatever, and then they take that to mean something else, as opposed to you just made me you really just made me angry because of whatever the purpose or situation.
We are not allowed to be in this part of the world. We're not allowed to just be. We're always looked upon as, and a lot of black people feel it when they're in institutions, when there's predominantly others that don't look like them. They feel like they're carrying the whole weight of the community on their shoulders. Yeah. Whether you're in the army, whether you're in the police force, teaching, friggin', anyway.
In university, because I think both Rihanna and I have said before that, like, in university, when you're dealing with people who may have not come to a metropolitan area where they haven't been exposed to black people, and you're the very first one that they can have a full-on conversation with. Oh my God.
In the 21st century, this is in the 21st century.
I know, and You know what the thing is? I'm glad that they were willing to have the conversation now. I'm not even gonna lie, because they could have like tried to ice over it, try to not really talk about it. But the fact that actually they wanted to have the conversation. I mean, I'm not really cool with having to represent everybody, because I would never ask any person from any other ethnicity.
Exactly. The different creeds.
But I think that, yeah, definitely, like, I'm glad that they had the conversation. I can't lie. I appreciate the fact that they had that conversation, because then whatever misconceptions they had, they were able to clear up. Yeah. So it's just, I think
hopefully.
I think he did. The person who I had an experience with, he thought that, you know, I would be having. I don't really want to use what he said, actually, because I don't want to out him. Like
out him.
No. because of what he said, because of the things that he was saying, I was the complete opposite, basically. And he was like, "Oh, I
big up to him for being honest."
But again, from what we were saying earlier, his picture was built up from television. His picture was built up from media sources, as opposed to, like,
even the resources in which he's built up an ideology of what people who look like us are. Wouldn't that alone make you think, maybe I'm wrong? Maybe there's an agenda behind the information I've been given.
Not necessarily. If you don't know, you're wrong. If you don't know, you're wrong. You're not going to look to say where you're wrong.
But if you're getting your information from television. And sources that doesn't necessarily encourage biased, objective thinking, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Then should we really be? Yeah, but I get it.
But again,
I don't think he wouldn't. I don't think he knows that it was.
I know what you mean.
Do you know? He wouldn't know that it was objective. Like, he didn't. Yeah.
You just watch it and you just take it in, innit? You just you
don't think any different.
Go on. Sorry, darling. Say that again, Rihanna.
I was gonna say he doesn't know any different. Doesn't think any different.
Yeah, for real. And I would even argue that it's probably worse that, you know, when we're saying that we're going to shops and we get followed and all that kind of stuff, it's probably worse that actually the fact that when we're going into those shops, these are people who have actually had interactions with Black people, and they're still doing the same thing, much less someone who's never had any, and all they've got to go by is what they've seen or what they've heard.
So basically, you know better, you do better. Pretty much.
My worst, I think my thing at the moment is that I'm worried about the amount of trauma that people are going to be experiencing, especially like kind of rehashing a lot of old cases at once. And even though it's a good thing, because we need to get it out there, we need to make sure that there is justice for people who've lost their lives unnecessarily, and through just nothing but brutality and ignorance, really, then it does need to be dealt with. But I'm kind of worried as well that there will be a trauma, or even a collective trauma. For sometimes, I think I'm worried about the adults, but I'm also worried about the kids, because I remember having to talk to my niece and trying to explain to her, like, even though she's mixed race, she sees us, obviously, in our household
as one,
as Black people. So she's looking at this and she's like, what happened to the man? And I had to explain it to her in the best way that I could. To tears, it really did. And then like later on in the evening, I think the news was on and she's seeing like all the people marching and protesting and all this kind of different stuff. And then she started praying and she's like, God, allow me to be a change, allow me to affect a change in this world. Anybody anymore. I want to be a good person and I want to make sure other people can be good people. But it's having an effect on her, and I think that there's a lot of kids that are seeing all this happening, and it's great that it is happening, it needs to happen, but I think there needs to be a way that we can protect our children from being traumatized by it, and consistently seeing images of predominantly, unfortunately, white police officers harming Black people.
I think what you're doing by having these conversations, I've been watching a lot of, like, I'm a massive YouTube watcher, and so I've been watching a lot of Black families sit down with their Black children and have the Black talk, or have the talk about being Black and whatever. But I think what you're doing by having these conversations with her is the right way to protect her. Yeah. Because you can't protect her completely. Do you know what I mean? And when she goes to school and things like that, and when she goes out in the world, she's gonna see these things and she's gonna hear these things. And you know, kids when they go to school, kids innocently and very honestly will tell you certain things. So we don't know who she's going to be interacting with, and they might not mean to say anything bad, but they might just say something. She might come back and be like, actually, Auntie Chantal, what happened, blah blah blah.
Yeah,
but I think you're doing what you can and all that you can in the way of trying to protect her from being traumatized, but at the same time allowing her to go through it, because she has to go through
it. She needs to go through it though. I do know that. I know she needs to understand, because I think the lack of understanding was doing worse.
Yeah, and because she's a black woman, she's going to experience it anyway.
Well, true.
So it's better that she learns it at home with you lot. And when she goes out into the world, she's got the knowledge, she's got, she's able to rationalize certain things. Yeah.
I agree. And on the back of that, I'm not sure why I'm echoing. Can you hear me okay?
Yep.
On the back of that, sometimes it's not the actual thing itself that's traumatic, it's the reaction that we had to it. So I'll give you an example. If a child falls down, sometimes the mother or the father reacts to it in an, oh my God, and that's when it really hurts. So actually, the things that are happening on the day-to-day basis is something that we have to normalize, but not desensitize to.
Yeah.
Does that make sense? Yeah. And you having the conversation like at the back of what Rian was saying, absolutely. That allows her to know that there are solutions. It allows her to know that there's ways forward. It allows her to know that actually it's not just about oppression and inferiority. It's about why it's happening and how great we are.
Yeah.
That's what you're doing. Love that.
Yeah. But I think it's important as well. So for everybody who's watching this, there is organizations, I'm part of one of them, that is offering free therapy to Black and ethnic minorities, specifically.
Really? Brilliant.
It's within the UK. I'll also put that link, one of the links that I have there down as on the description, but there's plenty of them. And again, if you're part of any of those, bring off to us and we will make sure they're in the description so people can get access to them. But so
and tag any Black owned businesses in whatever.
Yes, that is, whether that's social media. Sorry, we go, babe.
That's it. Tag it all of it, any industry, tag it.
Yeah. And I'd also say for your own mental health as well, guys, your own emotional well-being, if you need to take a break from this stuff, don't think you're going against the cause or anything like that. If you know that you're feeling overwhelmed, it's making you feel anxious, it's making you feel down, it is starting to play on you and it's starting to make you lose sleep or make you feel hurt, whatever the case may be, always take a break from the news outlets, from the social media, from even people talking about it. Take a step back and take care of yourself, because without you, there is no us anyway. So just try and take care of yourself, and then when you're able to, come back. And that would be my biggest advice to anybody who is experiencing any kind of emotional upheaval with this.
And also one more thing, I put on my social media, and I just want to tell you, listeners or watchers or whatever, as if you're a Black person, don't feel that you have to comment, post, sign petitions, march or whatever about a Black Lives Matter. If you want to, absolutely up to you, but don't feel pressured that you have to do anything, because you are enduring this, you are traumatized by this, you are seeing this recurrence all the time. It's those people, I think anyway, it's those people that are riding for you, that say they love you and say they support you and say they don't see colour, even though they know how you don't see colour, but then it's a whole different thing. And all those other people that are non-Black, it's for them to take that opportunity and vocalise and talk about the injustice for us. So again, if you're a Black person, please do not feel pressured to necessarily do anything for anybody in terms of Black Lives Matter. Yeah.
Yeah, only do if it's coming from a place where you know that you can do it. And if you can't march, then if you feel to, give to some of the bailout fundings that we've got, so people who get arrested at marches and whatever else, and they need bail posting, there's a communal pot where people are able to use that for bailout money. And even if you don't feel like doing anything, you just feel like praying or
Right.
whatever it is that you feel like doing, then do that. But yeah,
if you believe.
I agree. If you're working on your mental health, you're actually increasing, you know, you're actually working on Black Lives Matter. If you're Black and you're working on your own well-being, that is a life that matters. So start with self first, do you know what I mean? And then see what more you can do if so. And if you can't, just work on yourself. That's enough.
Exactly.
Yeah.
1000%.
You are enough. I am enough. I am because you are. We are because you are.
Yes. Okay, guys. So thank you for joining us for the Sweet Talks podcast, and hopefully we will see you again next week. Hopefully trying to cover some of the other issues that have been going on, or that you've actually messaged through. And I also want to say thank you to our listeners. I think we've got new listeners from New Zealand, and
oh wow, thank you.
Thank you guys.
Nice.
Thank you.
We'll keep building and keep going. And
New Zealand and where?
And Australia. We've got new followers in Sydney, I think it was, and I think before we were in Australia, but it was New South Wales, I want to say. But now we've got some extra listeners.
Big ups. Big ups.
So, hi guys. Thank you for joining.
And there's quite a few British people over there.
Yeah, I think there might be. So yes. So from us to you, thank you for joining us, and have a great week.
And be safe.
Yes, be safe.
Stay safe.
Wear your masks. Wash your hands. We'll see you soon. Bye.
Bye.